Hello, this is Connie Marie Forrest, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. Okay, for one, I was born April 2nd of 1987, and of course I'm 25 now, but next April I'll be 26 years old. And let me think. Oh yeah, I'm Wiccan and also Buddhist, and also like the paranormal and supernatural, and like things that are creepy and don't easily scare. So, so sometimes I find things rather to be hokey that are supposedly scary, but that's how I am. Okay, could be a little skeptical at times when I feel it's necessary to be skeptical. And if I've ever seen ghosts before, yes, I have seen ghosts before. It was in a house where there was these two children. They were ghosts, and I seen a little girl run up the stairs. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. It didn't scare me. I mean, it's different. You know, I mean, it's like the first time you've ever physically seen a ghost. But I mean, I've heard ghosts before, but that was the first time I've ever physically seen one. And I've spoken to ghosts before, but that was the only time I've ever physically seen a ghost and just running up towards the stairs. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting experience. Staying at my friend's for like a couple of weeks, I suppose. But yeah, they were like I think Mormon children, but I don't know what personally what happened to them. But apparently they like to play in the upstairs area and sometimes the basement, and you could hear them. And I was a little skeptical at first. I was like thinking maybe there were like raccoons or squirrels playing at the attic area, you know, like the upstairs area. But I mean, sometimes that's what you have to assume. I mean, with those noises. But then hearing little kids giggling and so forth, then I was like, okay, well maybe there are ghosts here. So I was thinking, fascinating, but it's like really wasn't real convinced that it was ghosts until I saw that girl running up the stairs. I was like, okay. But yeah, probably wondering what do I do for a living? Well, other than me being honest, as I'm an author at this moment. Like I wrote the book Annabelle the Brave, and I basically published it through Publish America, and it's on the website publishamerica.net. And you can find it. It's like $17.95, and it's actually a pretty good book. It's a teenage novel I wrote, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. The main character, she's half vampire, and her mother is a gypsy and a witch, basically. And there's so much more to it that I just don't want to reveal too much of it all at once, but it's pretty entertaining. I never really had confidence in anything until I wrote this book. So, needless to say, I feel I have every reason to have confidence in this thing, basically. But yeah, I just hope people will really like my book. It's the first time I've ever wrote a book, so basically. You probably wonder what my dreams are. Well, I want to move to Seattle one of these days. Living in Nebraska sucks. I mean, I really don't enjoy living here. No offense personally towards Nebraska viewers, but Nebraska's just not my cup of tea. It just never has and never will be. Just because I live here doesn't mean it's home to me. It's too flat, too boring, and people are not open-minded enough. And I think if I moved to Seattle, I'd be able to find people I could relate to better, basically. And Seattle is a very nice place. I've lived in Seattle when I was a kid, and Covington, Washington, and so I'm familiar a little bit with Washington. So I used to go hiking a lot. I miss doing that, and Let's see. Um, there's also a house up there in Seattle I want to get. It's a mansion, but it sucks not having the money now. Because why? I'd move into that house in a heartbeat if I had the money for it. Basically, but you get the whole gist of it, you know. Hopefully things go as planned. Maybe one of these days I will move into the place. It's the Hunsworth Mansion. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's in Seattle, Washington. And I really enjoy that, the way the place looks and everything. It may not be like hardcore goth, but for some reason it's just very comfortable. And I don't know, some places they just speak to you, and it's like they say that this is your home, basically. And I just get that feeling with the Hunsworth Mansion that I should like live in there in my future time being, basically. And I wouldn't mind living there. I mean, it's quite a personally nice house, you know. I live in an apartment life, and that sucks. Every day I dream about having my own home, owning it, and I just really don't like how you got people in the hallways constantly loud and so forth. And I've had people here on this floor, I mean, they'll fight and drag it out into the hallways, and you can hear everything that's going on. And I'm like, crying out loud. Sometimes they get the cops called on them, too. The one couple that used to live here, I don't they live here now, but when they did, they were loud and they were stupid and ridiculous about their arguments. They could drag it somewhere where no one can hear them, but they would rather make it to where everyone hears them, and it's stressful, okay? I don't like having to hear other people's arguments unless I'm in the mood and if it's funny and worth paying attention to, but other than that, most of the time I would just like some peace and quiet. And I think if I owned a house, that would give me the peace and quiet that I would ask for. Basically, but let's put it this way: if I ever moved to that house, I would brag about it. You know, you'd see me filming the inside of it and so forth. I'd get a camera and just just film everything I'm doing in the house, document it. But yeah, I did get a good sense of the house, and it's there's nothing negative about the place. I guess there's no ghost in it. Um, Even though the house is old, it was like built the year 1909, and so that makes it like at least 100 years of age, I'd imagine. But I find it rather fascinating, you know. Um, like I said, I wouldn't mind living in that house. But one of these days, one way or another, I'm moving to Seattle because I just cannot stand living here in Fremont, Nebraska. I just can't. It's just not my home. Like I said, I may live here, but it doesn't feel like home to me. It just feels negative, uncomfortable. Can't relate to people very well here in Nebraska. You know, I feel at odds with everything. Like, I could be living somewhere where I could actually relate to the people and so forth, but I don't. And that sucks. You think me being born in California that I'd relate to people in California, but no. Um, I relate to people in Washington State where it's a very rainy place. I had no problem with that. My dad thinks I'm crazy for wanting to move to Seattle because it rains a lot. He doesn't know how I feel. I mean, he honestly don't. He doesn't know that I'm a wild child. I like dancing in the rain. I'll dance in the rain. I'll still do it today, you know. I still do it, you know. I still dance in the rain when it rains. It's actually fun to dance in the rain. Okay. But I define myself as a very earthy, very rainy individual. I like mountains and so forth. I just don't like things that are too flat and too boring and no originality, basically. And dull. I'm a very interesting person. Um, I'm more likely to do crazy things when I'm bored. Don't leave me with devices or of any kind, because I'll take the smallest of things and have fun with it. I mean, you kind of have to if you live in Fremont, Nebraska, because it's so boring. You have to take advantage of what you do have, at least. Meaning that, so basically, if I get bored, I'm gonna make fun with something, you know. I've been known to do crazy things when I'm bored. I'm always the weird friend, you know. My friends define me as the weird one amongst the friends. Yeah. Um, Sometimes I will do stupid things, but I'm not actually stupid, okay? Mind you, I have ADD, yes, but I will sometimes make an ass of myself just to entertain people because I find it fun, and there's nothing better to do in this damn town, anyway. So, my friend Lindsay, however, she's very protective of me, and like, she doesn't like it if I get drunk because then I end up doing crazy stuff when I'm drunk. But, well, she doesn't like people making fun of me, but I don't really care. I mean, I don't really listen to them anyways, so what's the big deal? If anything, it bothers her more than it bothers me. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I really don't care if I'm making an ass of myself because I'm bored, you know? Can you blame me? You live in a boring ass town. I mean, you gotta come up with something fun to do. You know, even if making an ass of yourself is all you have to do to have fun. I mean, it's just that sad. But, you know, I mean, like I said, I like entertaining people, so I'm gonna make an ass of myself often. And because like I said, there's just I think it's part of my personality, even though sometimes I take things a little too serious, like too literal. But yeah. But let me think. So I don't think of other stuff about myself in general. Okay. I was trying to elaborate on different stuff about myself, but you know, I'll come back to when I can think of more stuff to talk about. Goodbye.